What's going on? This is Mike with the 1% Mindset Podcast. I'm super excited to be here with you. It is, what's the date? February 10th. Monday, February 10th, man. I'm extremely excited for you guys to be here. Last week, when we had this last podcast, it was a pretty mellow podcast. I was still recovering from the Kobe Bryant passing. And unfortunately, it's a legend that was gone too soon. And I didn't really have the opportunity to really process what was happening. You watch so many things and you 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 tend to pretend like everything is okay and it's not. And the fact that someone can affect you and you don't know them personally really can show the impact that that person had on you, his work ethic, what he did, his investments, just how he connected with people and was able to be very present in the moment. And I think that's a lesson that I will always take with me is to be very present in the moment. We're so busy doing stuff, right? Stuff that don't matter, that we're not fully present to what's there. And something as little as saying hello, I hope you're okay, how can I help you, asking someone how they're doing, like those little moments can matter so much to people. And I think it's amazing that um, I think it's amazing that he had an impact on so many people, and he did a lot of amazing things for people. And definitely, once again, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. It's not something that goes away quickly, but it is something that allows you to reflect and say, man, I get to be present and live every moment, in the present, not thinking about what happened or thinking about what will be, but just being very grounded in what I have in front of me, what's there in front of me, who's in front of me, and how can I serve the people in front of me. And I think that's extremely, extremely important. Excuse me. And I think that um, in doing that, you have an impact that's long lasting, right? So many stories that people have told that revolved around him, and whether it's an impact with one person or a couple people. I mean, he just made that impact. So I was extremely excited to just be a fan of him as a competitor, who he was as a person, who he was as a dad, and just watching him develop and grow and almost mentor people. And I think that's an absolutely amazing, amazing thing. So once again, RIP Tim, gone but not forgotten, will never be forgotten. And definitely prayers will still go out to Vanessa Bryant and all the lives lost. Vanessa Bryant's family, as well as the families of all the lives that were lost, the other seven individuals, or the two other families, as well as the pilots, or the three other families. So, with that being said, let's dive right in. Right, let's dive right in. I just wanted to mention that because last week's podcast was really mellow. It was really a reflection piece. Like, whoa, I can't believe that happened, um, and just really figuring that out. So yeah. So today, anyway, I think throughout this process, it's important to I want to speak about you, right? And when I say you, it's just you developing into the person you want to become. I will say that throughout that process, not only being present, but making sure that that dash between when you were born and when you exit, which is guaranteed, has meaning behind it. Right? It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're a vegan, GMO free. When this my pastor said, I thought it was pretty funny. But you're going to have an end date at some time, whether it is tomorrow, 10 years from now, or 100 years from now. You will have an end date, and you cannot predict your end date. It can come and go like this. So I think it's important. There's a few things that I want to talk about, and it's you. And the first one is when it's dealing with you, whatever your dreams or your aspirations or your goals are, make sure you start now. So many people get romantic and looking out and trying to figure out how things should look or how they want it to look, or possibly like waiting for that right time. What I want to tell you is start now. Start writing that book. Start listening to that pod. Like, I don't care what it is. Start that podcast. Just start. Start now. Start now and make the mistakes later. So important to get started now. And the reason being is because you never know when it's over. What you can build on, you do today, not tomorrow. Don't become a procrastinator. Right? You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. Right? So if you want to be whoever it is you want to be, you have to become that person, and that starts by doing it now. So that's the first step. The second one is to take baby steps. Everyone that I've watched, there's a lady that I follow on Instagram. Her name is the Six Figure Chick. I also follow Soul Society, which is a travel blog. So Soul Society is founded by my guy Rondell, and he said he started this 8 years ago. 8 years ago, he had this idea of curating experiences for black couples, and it's become a huge success for him. The Six Figure Chick that's on Instagram, I don't know her personally, but she has had and documented $100,000 months, right? So she's a self-made millionaire selling ebooks and courses online to Instagram followers and building an email list. And she posted something recently, if I'm not mistaken, it was either in 2012 or 2013. She was happy she got a raise, and then she started. So this was things in the mix. She took baby steps slowly and stayed consistent. Right? When you take these baby steps, it's important that you stay consistent throughout the process. Right? The problem is we take baby steps on what it is that we want, and as soon as we fall, we start something new. So my hope today is that when you take those baby steps, you stay true to what it is that you want to do. The next thing is that I think is important is that you learn from other people. Learn from other people, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with figuring things out, but, or however, there are people who have done what you want to, what you have, or what you're looking to do. This is your opportunity to learn from them. This is to learn the mistakes, figure out what they're doing, and model it so you can create and build your own. The fourth thing is embrace change. I had a t-shirt once that said, "The only constant is change." The only constant is change. And I want you to think about that. Really soak that in. Right? Things are changing every single day. Every single day. And if you're not embracing the change, then you're going to get left behind. Whether that's technology, it doesn't matter. Whether you're with your spouse, people are ever changing. Things are ever changing. You have an opportunity to embrace that change. And then be responsible for staying up to date with that change. Be responsible for that. Right, I'll tell you a quick story. So I have a good friend of mine. I say he's one of the most creative people I know. He does really well. He DJs. He does photography. He has a job. He does extremely well. However, he does not like rejection, and I'm not saying you don't. I'm not saying you don't enjoy rejection or you. I'm not saying. Let me rephrase that. Excuse me. I'm not saying that rejection is fun, right? Those people who say, "Oh man, I love getting told no," right? God bless you, right? I'm not gonna sit here and say I love getting told no, but I understand that that's a precursor for what it is that I eventually want to get. And so he comes and he checks me out. And he comes to visit, and again, I tell you he's super talented, and he's doing some pictures for me, and just getting some things done. And we go out and we head out. And one of the things he says is, man, she's great. How are you so willing and easy? Like, how can you just talk to people so easily? And I told him, I said, you know, I've embraced change. Right? When you're younger, or when I was younger, I should say, I'm going to speak for me. I was always told, hey, don't talk to strangers, right? It was a way to protect me, right? My parents did that. My mom especially did that as a protection to make sure that, number one, obviously no one can take me, but it was just her way of saying, hey, be mindful, don't talk to people you don't know. So as I got older, what do you think happened? In my head, something that was told to me many decades ago, it was like, man, don't talk to strangers. So what am I doing? I'm afraid to talk to strangers. So a few years ago, I reverse engineered what I thought about what it looked like to speak to strangers. And I said, man, I don't have a problem. It's not that I'm afraid of talking to strangers, but because that was embedded in me that it's a dangerous thing, I never wanted to do it because it gave me anxiety. And once I realized that, I had no problems talking to people, right? Because at the end of the day, they're human just like me, right? And it's not, if you're going to speak to somebody with the intention of gaining something, then of course it's hard, right? So whether that, hey, I'm talking to them because I want to get their phone number, right, to speak to them, or I want to get um, like whatever that looks like. If it's for a selfish reason, it can be tough. But if you start with something simple like, hey, how are you? Is everything okay? It makes for an easy conversation because there's a level of care there. And I'm not saying those two things are the precursors of having a good conversation. Excuse me, but if I'm speaking to anybody, my intention is never to get, right? But it's to pour out and to see how can I help. And once I do that, and then there's a level of trust there, it makes it easier, right? But his intention, because he's so afraid to speak to people, right? Whether that's him speaking to them for romantic reasons or for business, like whatever that looks like, it becomes a real struggle. And when you speak to them instead, then you start to look like a weirdo, right? So going in with confidence helps. Another thing that built my confidence and I speak about is going to the gym. Because I challenge myself mentally every single day to be the absolute best that I can be in all walks of life at any given time, all the time. Extremely important, right? So I told him, I said, man, you're never going to feel confident if you continue to put yourself in this box saying that you can't do it. Of course, if you can't do it, if you say that you're nervous, or if you say you have anxiety, or if you say that you're not a people person, you're absolutely not going to be any of those things. And you give yourself an excuse as to why you don't do it. Yeah, I don't speak to people because I'm shy. So that's my reasoning for not breaking out of my shyness. Because I'm shy, I don't speak to people, and that's why I don't speak to people. Instead of saying, man, I need to speak to this person, let's figure out ways that I can do it. It's, I'm shy, I'm shut off, I'll never be able to do it, I don't have to do it. That's my excuse. And that's the difference between me and a lot of other people is I chop down these excuses and I utilize what I deem or what may be seen as weaknesses to utilize them as strengths to figure out how to get it done. Richard Branson, he once said, if someone presents you with a good opportunity and you don't have the experience, say yes and figure it out later. And that's what I've mastered. I've mastered how to say yes to everything and then figure out, man, how am I going to do this after? So many things that I'm working on this year in particular that I have never done, that I have no idea how to do, that I'm taking it on right now and trying to excel at this, but figuring out along the way, asking the right people that I need to ask. right? This is an internal thing that you have to do, that you have to want to do, that you have to get done. It's internal. It's not anything else but your willingness to say, I'm not making any excuses. I'm not letting my limitations stop me. I went out this past weekend, and I saw an old friend that I went to elementary school with. I haven't seen him for probably since like sixth or seventh grade, and unfortunately he's in a wheelchair. But you know what? I went on his Instagram, and doesn't stop him. He's a para power lifter now. He's not letting his circumstance of being in a wheelchair because he wasn't before. And I'm not gonna tell the story, but what I will say was, um, dude, he wasn't in a wheelchair prior to, right? So unfortunate situations happen, and he's now been in a wheelchair for however long it's been. I'm assuming it's been a decade or more, and that's not stopping him. He was out. He was out and about. He was living. He started his own nonprofit. He's doing a lot of amazing things because he didn't let his situation define who he was. He didn't say, hey, because I'm in this wheelchair now, I can't do anything I used to do. I can't go out. I can't have fun. I can't. He didn't let that stop him. Look him up. Garrison, Garrison, Garrison Reed, Redd. Look him up on Instagram, at Garrison Reed. Or is it Red? I believe it's Garrison Red. Excuse me. Right? And he said to himself, you know what? Yeah, I'm in a wheelchair, but nothing's wrong. I have a situation. I'm living in the moment. He didn't say because of that I can't work out. Hell, I'm not even gonna lie. He looks like he bench presses more than I do. And he's paralyzed from his legs down. And he bench presses. No excuses. He lives. He does his thing. He is a TEDx speaker. He like I was blown away, so to speak, by everything that he has accomplished thus far. And he didn't use an excuse. He didn't make an excuse for no one. He said, you know what? This is my situation. It happened, and I'm going to be the very freaking best that I can be. Where are you going to show up in your life like that? Right? This podcast is about you. Right? I gave you some small self-development tools, but internally, you have to look at like what do I have to get done to make sure that I hit all my goals. It's an internal thing. And when you can fight that internal thing, then things start to look a little different and become a little different. So anyway, I'm extremely excited, man. I'm excited what this month is going to bring. February is the shortest month, but it can be your most powerful month yet if you just make a decision to do, a decision to be, a decision to have whatever it is you want. So I absolutely look forward to continuing to put these podcasts out, continue to work with you guys. It's definitely been a blessing. You guys actually inspired me. I actually am gonna try to get Garrison on this podcast pretty soon because he inspires me every single day. I know he can motivate, push, and inspire you guys as well. So with that being said, I'm out. I'll catch you guys next week. Later.